Well, let's have a look here at the starting lineup. Ryan Leach in the number 56, as he has all weekend long on the front row alongside Blair Hosey. Andy Volkel and James French share row number 2. Starting in row number 3, it's Nico Bratz in the number 7, and Brett DiGiacomo rolls off a great qualifying position, P6 for him. Mark Charganorski in the number 25 starts 7th. Nate Hamilton in 8th. Ethan Alexander in 9th, and Nick Billingsley in 10th.
Yeah, and up in 11th, we've got Jalen Batley. In 12th, we got TJ Hunt, who himself has moved up quite a few places. Bill Wright in 13th. Gage Hughes in 14th. And then on row 8, we've got John Robinson in 15th and Robert Desjardins in 16th. Moving on to row 9, we've got Matt Wilson with the best race suit of the weekend in 17th, and Ayrton Grimm in 18th, pulling double duty with GLTC. AJ Campo in 19th, and Jared Anderson in 20th.
In 21st place, it's Larry Brady in the number 59. Pat Brady starts in 22nd place in the number 82. Jake Sanders rolls off 23rd in the number 77, and Tim Burkhardt 24th. In 25th place, it's John Howe, and 26th, Paul Klitsch in the number 71, followed by Chuck Desjardins and Lee Kellert in row number 14. Wrapping up the last couple of rows here, it's Bryce Mersberger in the 114 car. He had a big moment yesterday, so did Kelsey Billingsley. They'll start tail of the field. Tom Kirsting, 31st place, in our resident placeholder image, Jake Jornstad at the tail end of the field.
Jake Jornstad is every racer.
Yes, we're missing Jake this weekend. Of course, he was planning on being here, but had something come up, so unfortunately will not be joining us. He would be an IBOT GLTC competitor if he was here. So as field doubles up here, Ito, hoping for a green flag race. We've had a couple of full course yellows slow the action here this weekend, but what are the keys to success here in a morning race when everyone's a little tired after last night?
Yeah, I mean, I think the keys to success here is not making mistakes, not opening yourself up to opportunities. I think this track has been maybe a little bit more difficult to pass than I expected, but if you do make a mistake in 7, 8, 9, you will get punished for it, and we're seeing passes in all through 7, 8, 9, and 10B if mistakes are made. So yeah, there's lots of competition through the field. Everybody's looking to capitalize and move up some positions, so it'll be really fun to watch here this race.
Remember, the green flag will come at the further start stand, the one closer to turn 1. Give the field time to double up here. And tense moments again. Can anybody defeat Ryan Leach? 10 for 10 so far in 2025. Field's doubled up. Here's a look. Max flying the drone real low to the Armco here. Green flag, and we're racing in the Gridlife Rush Series towards turn 1, 3 across. Nico Bratz and Ethan Alexander. That was very, very tight into turn 1. Somehow they didn't come together. And there's Andy Volkel trying to go the long way around there. Blair Hosey throttle up a little sooner, but Ryan Leach leads the way.
Yeah, Ryan chose the inside line this time into turn 1, and then Andy Volkel was actually on the inside for the first time on a race start this whole weekend.
Up to turn 3 now. There's a piece of debris off in the gravel. I saw that too, but it's not from the Rush Series cars, I don't think. Oh, no, yes, it is. It's Nate Hamilton's front clip. He is missing the nose of his car. I didn't see where and when it came off, but he's racing without a front end on his car somehow.
Andy Volkel is not giving up his position, his third place position into turn 5, challenging James French, who's on his outside.
Yeah, smoke from Ethan Alexander as well, so there might have been a coming together between those two cars, between the 144 and the 33, and that's why the clip is missing. You see the smoke there, so tire rub potentially for Alexander as French puts pressure on Volkel.
Yeah, and again, the top two, Blair Hosey and Ryan Leach, driving away from this field, and then we've got a little bit of a traffic jam behind Andy Volkel, but now that's moved Nico Bratz into position to try and overtake James French.
I'm curious how long Nate Hamilton thinks he can go out without that front nose. You're going to be missing a lot of your downforce with all that front aero no longer attached to the car. If he'll pit in or just run without it, I have no idea.
Yeah, it kind of depends whether the car can still cool sufficiently without the front nose. That the ducting there helps the radiator do its job a lot better. So we'll see whether he can actually survive out there.
Yeah, I heard some scraping in the braking zone there from the microphones as well, and I wonder if that was potentially just from low tire pressures here when the car's got a little less ride height. But lap 1 complete. It's again Hosey and Leach, as it's been all weekend long here. Hosey has been unable to break through the defense of that 56.
Yeah, absolutely. Ryan driving a faultless race as usual, and Andy putting a little bit of a gap to James French behind him, and Nico Bratz has kind of fallen back to Brett DiGiacomo here, who's trying to challenge him for that 5th place spot.
Big lunge up the inside. French just chucked a haymaker at Andy Volkel down at turn 3, and it worked. He got past.
Wow, I don't think Andy expected that from that far back. He's now going to try and fight back at him. through the rest of the lap, we'll see whether he can catch back up and then make another pass on James French.
Yeah, that was a really big send from a long ways back, but he made the pass complete, and it's going to hold them up a little bit in their pursuit of those front two. But really, frankly, Hosey and Leach have been in a different zip code this weekend. They're, they're off, back to Indiana, halfway back to Chicago at this point. But through turn 7, 8, and 9, there's Leach now establishing a bit more of a lead on Blair Hosey. But Hosey has caught Leach towards the end of these races, so it's far from over.
Yeah, absolutely. But Ryan Leach's drive is just so impressive how well he drives in these races. Meanwhile, further back in the field,
it's still Hamilton without the nose.
Hamilton, so looks like he thinks he can keep going in this race, but it's not helping his competitiveness. He's fallen back through the field as a result of that.
Well, I can tell you one thing, is that I don't think those front clips are very heavy, so I don't think that he's saving a lot of weight, but it certainly looks like this car's done 498 laps at Martinsville at this stage without all the body panels on it. But side by side there, Nick Billingsley in the number 9. Oh, trouble.
Yeah, and it's not only a cooling concern, it's also a downforce concern. Without the front clip, it's both drag and it making downforce, making pressure on top of the splitter to create downforce.
Didn't see which two cars those were, but there were two cars tangled, I think, at 10B. And they're back rolling now. And here's a look at them. Yeah. The 77 is one, and the other was hiding from us there.
Jake Sanders looks like is the one of them. And yeah, Ryan Leach, again, just establishing this big gap to Blair Hosey. And then they themselves have their own large gap, a 3-second gap to James French. And then Andy Vogel, a second back from him, who's a little bit falling into the clutches of Nico Bratz behind him. Yeah,
Brett DiGiacomo trying to run down Nico Bratz ahead of him. It'd be a pretty impressive drive to run up to the top 5 here, especially in a series that's been very competitive at the pointy end. See yellow flags, I think, are they being put away or displayed? Looks like being put away down towards 10B. That's good news.
Yeah, car's cleared up. We're going to stay green here.
There was another spin because there's still fresh dust kicked up there. So
well, it's possible that car is stuck in the gravel down there. It's really hard. You can't see it from this perspective because it just dips down so much. A little bit like China Beach. Yeah, hopefully there's not a car stuck down there.
Well, Blair Hosey, like I said, beginning to reel in Ryan Leach, and you still hear the scraping of that front splitter.
Yeah, they're running it as low to the ground as possible to make as much front downforce as possible, and that results in it scraping.
This is Matt Wilson side by side with, it's the 114 of Bryce Mersberger, I believe.
Yep.
Door to door into.
Nice clean pass from Bryce there on the inside heading into turn 11.
Yep. Look at Bratz and French going at it. French was ahead of Vogel, and he's dropped a spot, so Vogel might have thrown another.
And it was after the start finish, so Vogel must have gotten him into turn 1. James French must have had a problem in turn 1 for Andy and Nico Bratz.
He's got an issue. He's got something dragging. Left side was sparking on the middle of the straightaway, which is, you can see under the car there's something a little lower than it should be. I'm not sure if it's distracting him or keeping the car from sealing for the downforce, but there's something wrong with that 70 car.
Yeah, it looks like he's maybe not making the power that he's supposed to. So that's unfortunate for James French, but I'm sure a relief for Andy Vogel.
And trouble for the 17. Maybe he's just pulling over, but John Howe going a lap down here.
Yeah, or possibly just knows that he's getting passed, he's getting lapped, so he's doing a good job of getting out of the way there.
Yeah, there's Ryan Leach and Blair Hosey. Yep. Hosey just ran a better lap than Leach did. A little bit of slicing and dicing a little further in the field. The 19 of Kelsey Billingsley is the first car in line there. I think that's, who's that, Sanders?
It was
Paul Klitsch, maybe, the 71?
Yep, yeah. Or, Paul Klitsch there. But yeah, again, Blair Hosey closing the gap to Ryan Leach towards the back half of the race. It's hard to tell how much of that is Ryan Leach just kind of relaxing a little bit, knowing he has a gap. Ooh, we've got a whole gaggle of cars here in 10B.
Oh, boy. 51 gauge shoes.
A little bit of contact there
Bill
between
Wright.
114.
Yeah, that's Bryce Mersberger.
And 68, I believe.
58 of Bill Wright.
Yeah, 58 of Bill Wright, excuse me.
And there's Ryan Oler in the 74. That's the blue and white car center screen.
Yep, a little bit slow on the inside, getting passed on the outside. Barely stays on track to complete the pass there. Blair Hosey, another purple lap from him. He's now only a half a second behind Ryan Leach there.
Big sideways slide for Mersberger, the 114 at turn 1. Here comes Matt Wilson trying to go the long way around. Of a couple of cars here. You can kind of get this done. A pretty flat racetrack, a lot of width to use, so the wider end of the, you go check the rim there, you get wider radius. You can carry a lot more speed out there, even though the track's flat.
Yeah, and I think turn 2 leaves a little bit of room for some different racing line interpretation there. So I think it's a good place to kind of experiment and try to make moves in unorthodox ways.
And here comes Nico Bratz on Andy Vogel here for third place.
On the outside of 8 right now.
Oh, that's tough math here,
Ito. Into the inside of 9. Good, respectful racing from both, but Andy into the marbles on the outside, loses that position to Nico Bratz. Nonetheless, clean racing from both of them.
Yeah, and that's going to bring up Brett DiGiacomo in the 12 car up into the mix as well, looking for more. Looking for fourth, looking for third.
Let's see, is James French, I think French is still out there, out in 6th place, so whatever it was, he's still running. But yeah, Andy now is going to try and chase down Nico Bratz, although it looks like Nico has kind of started walking away from Andy Vogel. Not sure what's going on there. Brett DiGiacomo also pulling up right to the backside of Andy Vogel.
Yeah, and Blair Hosey, again, just within a few tenths of Ryan Leach. And Blair Hosey is not holding back. He's running for the points championship. He needs at some point, if he wants to win it, defeat Ryan Leach. He has been unable to do so far this weekend. But Leach has not made mistakes.
James French has pulled in here, so he's going to go a lap down. You see the marker going a lap down. So James French has pulled off. But yeah, Blair Hosey again catching up in the second half of the race. I wonder if that's just a tire management thing, that Blair's just a little bit better with keeping his tires in a better operating window than Ryan Leach is towards the second half of the race. As he gets just as I say that, he gets all sorts of sideways out of turn 6.
And up to turn 7 now. There's about 4 car lengths between them. Blair Hosey has brought it to Ryan Leach on the last lap a couple of times where he was within striking distance but couldn't outbrake him.
Ooh, gets pretty lateral there at turn 8, loses the rear end and has to catch it and slides all the way to the outside.
Yeah, again, Hosey trying to get to the throttle a little sooner. Again, not enough straightaway to really utilize the slipstream too much. A little side-by-side there, Oler. That was a big moment.
Yeah, from Jason Oler to take looks like going to be in the low teens there.
I think that was a 58 of Bill Wright that he snuck by there.
So snuck into 15th on that one. Otherwise, they're pretty line astern right now. That gaggle of cars that was all together in the teens has spread themselves back out.
And still a couple laps to go here, and Hosey's sort of been fluctuating between 2 tenths back and 7 tenths back, but this is the biggest gap that we've seen since the drop of the green.
Yeah,
got to keep them in touch. Yeah,
Ryan seems to have extended it this time. All the meanwhile, we're talking about the gap increasing and decreasing between these two, but they're leaving third place behind, even at the pace that they're at right now.
Battle for 10th, TJ Hunt and John Robinson.
Yeah, he's moved up a few spots to get into the top 10.
Yeah, nicely done. He's had a couple of top 10s so far this weekend. A little lunge up the inside there of Matt Wilson. That is the 13 of Lee Keller that make that pass.
Yeah, big late move there, but nice and clean. And Matt Wilson kind of letting him by as he's losing grip on the inside of 2.
Yeah, didn't have enough traction on corner exit. And by the way, Nate Hamilton without that nose up to 12th. His Volco gone off or he had contact.
Looks like he's gone off. He's dragging that rear bumper now. Hopefully he didn't get help from that, but yeah, he's been complaining of oversteer in that car. I think that's been his primary issue this weekend is he just doesn't trust the rear end. So they've been making changes every session to try and calm down that rear end, and it could be that whatever change they made before this morning just didn't work out. Yeah, he's coming into 10B now, still dragging that bumper. Looks like he's getting up to speed okay. I don't see any damage on Nico Bratz's car, so it could have just been an unassisted off there in the very, very tricky 5-6 turn complex. Now Ryan Leach is coming up on lap traffic here. We'll see if that plays into Blair Hosey's hands or if he's going to get out of the way. Ryan Leach extending his lead, or at least maintaining it to 0.7 of a second. He's getting held up here in turn 2.
Hearing that the 34 of Andy Vogel, by the way, it was just a spin, so unassisted, by the way, and a little bit of lap traffic for Ryan Leach to navigate here.
Yeah, not a great job from that lap traffic. Definitely holding him up from 2 to 3, and now Blair Hosey's caught him up a little bit there. Surprising that Andy didn't lose more than a spot to Nico Bratz with that spin or off that he had. Yeah,
just looping it around and got back rolling again, spin and continue, but again, Hosey was unable to use that opportunity with that lap car to close up too much. I would anticipate a white flag in the next lap or 2. We're running out of timer on the timer. But Ryan Leach, what is it going to take for somebody to get by him. He's just infallible. He just has not made a mistake. He's looked ragged at times, but he never leaves the door open long enough for someone to take advantage. Trouble, and it's, I think, either Boysen or Campo. Boysen, I think, broke the transmission on his car yesterday, so I think it's got to be Campo or Grim.
It is Campo. I saw 220, the 227 on it, so I believe it is Campo.
Campo, or I could have sworn I saw the 120. It might have been Grim on that, but
I think I saw 227. Anyway, as we see, that's Ethan Alexander making a move to try and move up over Batley on the inside of 9s, maintaining overlap into 10B. Let's see if he can hook it up around the outside and keep that position.
Remember that the 33 had contact earlier, and he had a tire rub that seems to have cleared itself, so momentarily slowed him down. All the while behind them, you've got TJ Hunt trying to close in with John Robinson, so this could quickly become a 4-car fight. White flag is in the air, last lap around Gingerman Raceway, so 1 lap to go, and the battle right now is going to be for 8th place.
Yeah, so I was mistaken. That's actually Billingsley making a move on Ethan Alexander as Robinson makes a move on Hunt, trying to maintain overlap into turn 1.
Yeah, Hunt, nice slight defensive line there. Robinson's going to open the door to the inside, but can't outbrake TJ enough to get overlap there. With this final lap, 2.2 miles left to go. No challenge out front at the moment, but there's, it's about to be. Blair Hosey has closed back in again at the right time.
Yeah, traffic playing a role here a little bit as they kind of close up. But Ryan Leach, I think, has got this in the bag. Just as I say that, that's the commentator's curse there. Both of them got sideways, but it looks like Blair Hosey lost less time than Ryan Leach did. Let's see if he can do the over-under and get a better drive out of 10B. He's got much more grip, looks like, on the inside.
Here he comes up to alongside there. Can he side draft? A little contact there between Hosey and Leach. It's a drag race up the back straightaway. This is as close as he's been. Leach out drags him, goes over to cover. Now Blair Hosey back to the left. Can he outbrake? Can he sneak up underneath? He forces Leach offline. Now dives underneath, throttles down on the curbing, but I don't think it's enough. Checkered flag waving, and Ryan Leach continues to decimate the field. 11 wins, 11 races, and Hosey comes up short.
I'd be interesting to talk to them or to Ryan and see what he thinks happened in the last set of corners, that he lost that drive out of 10B and brought Blair Hosey closer to him.
Yeah, that was a fun fight between those two, but just not enough of a mistake by Leach for anybody to capitalize. Brat's third, Vocal fourth. Brett DiGiacomo grabs the top 5 in the number 12. That's that teal and gray car.
Yeah, let's see where Ethan Alexander and TJ Hunt end up. Looks like Ethan Alexander stays in 9th, but Hunt is right behind him. He's getting challenged by Oler and Wright, excuse me. Sorry, 180, that is DeRobinson, excuse me.
Yeah, here comes the 188 of Matt Wilson. I think chasing, is that Lee Kellert perhaps? Or the 114 of Merceburger, one of those two. And it was Merceburger, and 18th, 19th, and then Jared Anderson in 20th.
Yeah, fortunately no double yellows, no safety car deployed, so a full green race. Nice job from all the Rush competitors to have a clean race out there, green from start to finish. Yeah, and
Leach just has the precision, the surgical precision that just makes it so hard to compete with. Ryan Leach wins Rush Series Race 3 by 0.2 of a second over Blair Hosey, Nico Bratz, Andy Vocal, Brett DiGiacomo, your top 5, Mark Jorganorski, Jalen Batley, Nick Billingsley, 7th and 8th. Ethan Alexander and TJ Hunt scores another top 10 there for Team Rapscallion. John Robinson, Oler, Hamilton, Hughes, and Wright, top 15. And Lee Keller, Merceburger, and Wilson had a little scrap there, didn't they?
Yeah, they were fighting it out throughout the race, and then Jared Anderson in the top 20. Larry Brady in 22nd, Pat Brady in 22nd, Tom Kirsting in 23rd, a lap down. Looks like a little bit of lapping there. Kelsey Billingsley 24th, Chuck Desjardins 25th, Tim Burkhardt 26th, Jake Sanders 27th, Paul Klitsch 28th, AJ Campo 29th, and James French retired from the race about midway through with problems, along with John Howe in 31st. As a very clean rush race. Again, Blair Hosey tracking down Ryan Leach in the second half of the race and making it especially close on that last lap. But nobody's been able to dethrone Ryan Leach from the top of any race in Rush this season.
Yeah, it's just, man, Leach.
Hugely impressive.
Just absolutely just scoring everything everywhere. I don't know how he's doing it, but you can't win everything all the time, so at some point he'll falter. Will it be race 4 later today? Let's have a look at the highlights from Gridlife Rush Series. Race number 4 on the green flag. pretty exciting moment. Now, was there contact here? So Hamilton still has the nose on his car there. There it goes off to the driver's left there.
It might have been not have been properly clipped in or secured.
No,
it
he
just fell
hit
off.
the 33. That's why there was a tire rub on Ethan Alexander early on, but it just got loose and then came apart. Big lunge off into turn 3. That was French by Vocal. And then Leach trying to establish his lead. Blair Hosey in chase, but again, that gap ebbed and flowed for most of the race. Nate Hamilton running without the nose on his car. He finished the race. Didn't end up needing it all that much, but Robinson in that battle. And then there was these two cars that had tangled that turn 10B, but once they got rolling, they continued with no further issues. Here was Nico Bratz and Vocal. That was dicey side by side through turn 8.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we had this fight come back to us between Ryan Leach and Blair Hosey. Ryan getting held up by some traffic towards the second half of the race.
Yeah, TJ Hunt again doing a nice job running from John Robinson. Here was that last lap battle between Hosey and Leach, but unable to do anything about it. And Leach picked up another win this season in Gridlife Rush Series Race 3.